You said, I want my people to manage projects.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a leader who manages people. That's not a leader, that's a manager.
Right.
But a leader who loves people can actually lead people to better management. What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey. I mean, I'm going to do something really cool right here for those who are watching. Have one of my favorite pair of shades on.
Those are nice.
They're beyond
Did you
nice.
polish those for
No, I didn't, but these are the best
Fresh
ones.
out the
They're
box.
amplified lenses from Fuse Lenses. And these things, I am not lying to you. I promise I'm not.
Tell me.
For years now, I've had multiple pairs.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter where I am. We've taken them all around the world and we put them on people's faces and they are blown away because it
clarity.
literally, you can see through people.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean,
Wow.
but seriously, it's the best vision. I really do feel like it does improve my vision.
It enhances it for
But here's why I'm really excited saying them and wearing them for this moment. I'll take them off so I don't try to look like, I'm trying to be cool or something. We have Brandon Dill, co-founder and CEO of Fuse Lenses.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, this company is great because not only do they have their own product line, but if you have your own lenses, they can take lenses and craft it for your glasses or your frames with their amplified or tinted lenses. And I won't call them indestructible, but they're virtually indestructible. Like, I think didn't they drop a car on one in one of your commercials and it didn't break or something?
I think you're making that up.
We shot them. We shot them with guns before.
You know, I told you, like, these guys are nuts.
Yeah.
Shot them with guns?
Yeah,
What?
22 caliber stop. It stopped a 22 caliber bullet.
Oh, he's serious.
Dead serious.
Yeah.
I wasn't I'm not just hyping them. I'm telling you
So
the
their
best.
glasses can withstand the test.
It's the
Torture
best
test.
I have ever had. And I have never put them on someone's face and they didn't say, where the heck did you get these?
There it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so welcome, man, to the show. We're so glad to have you. And thank you for making time for us because we know you're busy running your incredible corporation.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit more about Fuse off of the top of the show. What was the beginning?
Well, thank you guys for having me. First off, that's exciting. Great intro. Fuse Lenses is a sunglass company that specializes in making lenses for name brand sunglasses that we ship directly to the consumer through our website. So if you've got a pair of Ray-Bans or Oakleys, Costa del Mar or something like that, we make 20 different color options and 3 different tiers, including color enhancing, which is what you're talking about, those amp lenses, polarized, non-polarized. We do blue light, prescription. If you got a need for lenses, we make them for your frame, and you can pop them in yourself. Yeah, those look
Oh,
great.
she's got them on her face now, looking
a
cooler
whole
than
look.
I know, and it's crazy because it looks
It's
like
a look. I like them.
it looks amazing. Well,
model here.
I'm gonna tell you what, man. I know that I got excited talking about it, but it really has. It's pretty much changed my life. I don't go anywhere without these. Like I said, we've flown everywhere, even in Dubai. Never seen anything like it. They're shocked when I put them on their faces. So I have some questions for you that I hope that we can discuss, and there'll be some times when we'll probably interject with thoughts as well, because our point and our hope is to help the listener or viewer to aspire higher.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that Fuse wasn't the first thing you did in life. So you told us what you do,
Right.
but how did Fuse come about? You're a co-founder, so where did that happen?
Yeah, I was. My dad was the first lab manager, the first ever VisionWorks store.
What?
So that was here in Clearwater. So optics is kind of in my blood. I when I was 15, he got me a job over at VisionWorks. He wasn't working there anymore, but he made some phone calls, got me a job at VisionWorks, and I started repairing equipment in the lab, and then eventually worked my way up the corporate ladder there to be a territory director for their lab division. And then that transitioned into running a wholesale lab here right around the corner from my office now that made prescription glasses for a bunch of doctors' offices around the country.
Wow.
So I got a real good education in business from the owner of that company, who's an accountant, was not an optical guy. He had me run his operation, and then he handled the finances and the business side of things. Um, I ran that for about 10 years.
Wow.
And I started having kids. Every time I had a kid, I'm like, oh, I gotta like launch a new business. I gotta like, I'm
Yeah.
like just that
Wow.
hustle mindset,
I
like
like that.
I started
The
buying
legacy.
duplexes. Yeah, yeah. And I always wanted to like just be able to go see them in their plays at school without having to
Oh,
like,
wow.
get time off of work.
Of course.
One day, my next door neighbor asked if I could get him a frame from a brand called Spy Optics, awesome brand of sunglasses. But I didn't have an account with them. I couldn't get him that frame.
Right.
So he was like, "Man, can you just? The lenses are just damaged. Like, can you just replace the lenses?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could make new lenses for those. But if I make them the way we make prescription lenses, man, they're gonna be expensive. They're gonna be like 150, $200. You buy a new pair of sunglasses for that. Let me see if I can find something what we call finished stock lenses. They're like pre-molded lenses that I can just cut down for you. So I found a company that made pre-molded lenses. Was not real common at the time for sunglasses, and I cut them and gave them to him. He's a firefighter, so he brought him to his fire station the next day. And
Oh
the
my
next day, I got
gosh.
5 phone calls like, "Hey, I got drawers full of sunglasses. I need new lenses. I need new lenses."
Wow.
So
Wow.
I actually brought that idea to my boss and was like, "Hey, I think I can start another leg of business here. We could cut replacement lenses for sunglasses." Like, yeah, but where are we gonna sell those? We're gonna sell these in like
Oh
ophthalmology
my
practices.
gosh.
Brilliant.
I'm like,
That's always
oh,
how it
eBay.
goes.
Yeah, he's like eBay. He's like, I'm not selling stuff on eBay, man. He's like, you do it. You can do it. I'm like, all right. So started selling some lenses on eBay, and it just grew from a couple pairs a week to a couple pairs a day to 20 pairs a day to like just grew and grew and grew. And now we're doing 1,000 pairs a day right now. So
That's
Wow. That's
incredible.
amazing. I love that it's so beautiful because you knew that there was something that you can offer and you were able to even have a community support you in that. That is so important
Yeah,
because he had the knowledge,
right.
but someone also said, "Go for it."
But that's what I was hearing from you. So there's a few things you said, Brandon, that I really want to highlight that I think is going to help someone listening. First thing is you started when you were 15.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
work ethic was in you,
That's right. Ingrained.
but you didn't say you quit at 15. That was the most important thing that
Come
I
on.
took from the first opening statement.
Yeah.
So many of us, as we were talking about on one of our previous episodes, want success tomorrow.
Yeah.
But your path to what you are seeing today in your life was decades
Yeah.
in the making.
yeah,
And it was focused. You started with lenses
Yeah.
and you're still in lenses. But here's what was I mean, almost magical. An opportunity came to you that you presented to your boss, but it was made for you, just
Exactly.
like your custom lenses.
That's right. Come
The
on.
opportunity was made for you, and you had a decision to make. You could have said, you know what? I like this warehouse thing, this lab thing. I'm just going to stay here.
Right.
Or let me just see what happens. And I think so many people miss that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's
Just see what happens.
true.
You have
Stay
nothing
the
to
course.
lose.
That's right. That's right.
What did it mean for you when you started to get those phone calls? Was there a moment of like, holy crap, I have something here. Like, this is my gold mine. Or is it still like at that time, this is just a hobby and a side product?
man. Honestly, like looking back on it, I think I was almost kind of annoyed by it. It's like
Really?
because yeah, I had a job. Like I was busy. I'm like, man. All right, I'll make these two. I'll make these two, and then it started getting busier and busier and busier. I'm like, God, this is like, I couldn't not hustle. It was like making money, but it was like, man, this is a lot of time, a lot of effort. I held on to that job. I kept that job until we were doing over 1 million in revenue. So like I worked and worked and worked and worked, and I tell you, man, if I tell anybody about starting a business from the ground up, it's like hold on to your day job and
Yeah.
put all the money you make from the business back into the business. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be like you need customers.
Right.
More than anything, you
Yes.
need customers. And if I was feeding my family on the income from that lens business, I don't think we would have made it. I
Yeah,
don't think I
I
would
can
have taken the
understand
risks
that
I
as
did
well.
to
Right.
do.
Right.
I can understand that as
Yeah,
well. And I think that's a
yeah,
point to actually address as well, right? Because there's two sides of that. And I would love to challenge you a little bit to see where your thoughts are. So you were working one job,
Right.
funding this vision.
Right.
So that speaks to people right now who
Yeah.
are questioning, should I just quit my job and
Right.
pursue my passion?
Right.
When we speak, we do public speaking around the nation, eventually, hopefully the world. But that's one of the points we make in one of our talks is that some people will want that success right now and they'll leave based on their passion,
Yes.
but passion will get you in so many problems
Man.
if you're not prepared.
Right.
Right? So you had a strategy in place where you were like, take the money from this, fund this. That's one thing. But the second, though, there are times in life where the shift happens that you're not prepared for or calling for,
Yeah.
like in the case of losing a job, and you have to pursue what's in you. Can you speak to both of those as if you were speaking to us as a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, well, so the first thing, you know, passion is super important, but that's an emotion. And if you're making emotional decisions, I mean, you can get into really, really big trouble, like you said. So I would try and keep as much logic in it as possible. Like I said, if I was feeding my family, you know, maybe it'd be safe to say like the first lenses that we started selling were what we call photochromic lenses. They changed from clear to dark. They weren't even like sunglass lenses. And
Right.
you know, we sold those and we took the money that we made from those to start buying polarized lenses. Like maybe I would have never done that if I was feeding my kids on that. And like we didn't start selling
Right.
polarized lenses, we would have never grown our lens base, you know, to where it's at now. And really that's,
Right.
you know, kind of a cornerstone of our business's success is the offering we have. Now, for somebody who's lost their job and they're starting to make it on their own, you know, that's never happened to me. I kept my job for too long, probably. Um, but you know, I would man, you have to be very strategic and smart about it. I think if you're doing it from if it's feeding your family and you're trying to grow the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the luxury of not having to be so strategic. I can kind of make mistakes in the beginning because it was all encompassed in the business, all
No, I still
contained.
think that you're speaking good though, because
Yes.
even with what you just said, and I love the humility in which you addressed it, because you didn't try to speak from a position of, okay, I'm a guru, I have the answer. But what
Right.
you did
Right.
say still points back to the heart of who you are.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about your leadership style as well. You are focused on the family.
Yeah.
And you're a family man who says, if I had to make a decision between feeding my family and this, then I need to go focus on feeding my family.
Yeah.
So I think
sure.
that also is a great piece of advice and encouragement for someone who's asking, and they may be in that second scenario. Go get the work you need to then fund your family
Yeah.
and take what you can strategically and then fuel what it is you feel like you passionately must build.
Right.
That's incredible. So talk to us more about the strategy,
Yeah.
right? Did you start saying, well, it was simply because I had the one lens that I bought enough to get to the next lens? Or was it like you set out after you saw you had something to be a leader in this space?
Well, so the overall strategy, there was nobody else doing it that we knew of. Um, and so we didn't really know what our addressable market would be, how big this could be. Um, and I'd say the overall strategy was like we would get pushed to the next level. It would be uncomfortable. So we had to go to the next level. Like, um, you know, this started out as me cutting lenses in my boss's lab. Like I didn't buy equipment. I didn't go and buy a building and get equipment and hire employees.
Yeah.
I,
Right.
I did my job. I stayed there late, cut lenses after my job, would go home, package them up, answer emails, ship them out, and then put up new listings. And I did that until it was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like we're doing 20 pairs a day. I can't just keep.
Wow.
I'm running out of time in the day. So then it was like, okay, I need to get an employee.
Right.
And then I got an employee and I put him in my garage. I didn't go out and get a
Wow.
building. We got into the garage until it was like, and by the way, I hired an employee that was a web developer who was out of work. So I knew like,
There
yeah, I'm
you
going to
go.
have you cutting lenses right now, but you know,
Exactly.
hopefully we get to a place
Yeah,
where
well, I
like
can
Yes.
make
you
you
get
the
a
web
website
developer.
built.
That's
And then
right.
Yes.
yeah. And so then we got to a point where it's like, man, I can't do this on my own. I can't cut all these lenses by myself. I'm like, all right, I'll get another guy, but I need you to start building a website. And then
Right. Right.
then we moved
Right.
into a facility, and then
Yeah.
and every time like we're still adding space to our facilities, but like you know we just kept getting pushed into the next level of our success.
Mm.
We would never try and like spend money before we needed to. It was always like
Mm.
a necessity.
I love that. Brandon, everything about our book, The Flight of Your Life, The Power of Propulsion, is about the push.
Yeah.
And you were not afraid of the push because it propelled you into success,
Yeah.
it propelled you into community, and it propelled you into greatness. What would have happened if you stopped right then and there in the garage and just said, you know what, this push is too uncomfortable. I can't do
Yes.
this anymore. I'm done. Like, I know that I'm servicing needs to people and I'm providing lenses,
Mm.
but I am getting so burnt out that I can't, I'm done. You didn't even say that.
Not
You said,
once.
okay, let me bring him on.
Yeah.
He's got this specific skill that we'll need in the future. He's doing this interim, but
Yeah.
then when that time is up, we're going to employ him in this next thing and
Yeah.
then the next thing and so all of that growth came with a mindset of number one, humility, but also two, understanding you can't do it by yourself.
That's a
There
great
are
point to
many
make.
entrepreneurs and business owners that feel
Solopreneurs.
that they are like hoarders, like they do it all themselves, they want all the glory to
Yeah.
themselves, and they don't distribute and allocate the way that they need to. So I'm really appreciative that you didn't just start that story and end the story with just you. You made sure you gave honor to
Oh
the
yeah.
community that you built. I love that.
And how would
Yeah,
you give
that's
some advice to someone in that case, right? So for you, obviously, you just said the push told you when you had to level up.
Right.
But when you went and got your first employee for Fuse Lenses, was it called Fuse Lenses at the time?
no, it was called eye candy lenses at the time, and there are a ton of eye candies out there. So we're like, we changed the name,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
changed
yeah,
the icon, and then changed the fuse later on. So we've
sure.
been through a few names.
Well, I say that because obviously there was a bunch of adaptations that had to take place, right?
Yeah.
You were just pivoting whenever it presented itself,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So talk to someone that's watching you. They're like, okay, I love what this guy's doing. I see what he's talking about, but I'm at that point where I don't have a strategy either.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like
Mhm.
that limited you.
No.
No. Um, you know, I think that confidence comes from beating self-doubt,
Come
and
on,
in order
talk
to
about
beat
it, Brandon.
self-doubt, yeah, in order to beat self-doubt, you got to face it,
That's
you just
right.
got to face those challenges. And like, if I'm good at anything, if I'm confident at anything,
Yeah.
it's that I don't know anything,
Right.
but I can figure stuff out.
That's right.
I'm
Mm,
just, I'm the guy that'll figure stuff out. And it drives some people here nuts,
I
because
can
we are
imagine. Right.
always
Right.
pivoting,
Right.
always changing. But something major happens, the country gets shut down. We're
yeah,
good,
come
man. It's
on.
just another pivot.
Yeah. That's right.
We just pivot.
That's right.
Mm,
So we're in this constant motion of constantly changing all the time. I think buyer behavior constantly
of
changes.
Right.
course.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so I think if you're sitting still, you're going backwards. So we are always
Mm,
trying to move forwards, always trying to grow and change. Always.
that's
Sitting
incredible.
still,
Yeah,
moving
that's
backwards.
right.
That's deep.
Yeah, because no
Wow.
progress is no
That's
progress.
right. That's right.
And truth be told, if you're not making progress, you better believe somebody else is.
Yeah.
So
They're
you're
coming
just
behind
further and
you.
further behind.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
exactly.
So, how do you, as a CEO, co-founder now, how do you help people to understand that? Here's why I'm asking this. Because you said it drives people crazy sometimes because we're constantly pivoting.
Pivoting. Right.
Right. And I get it. There's some level of, oh, we want some consistency, but
Right.
some people
Right.
really want comfort.
And stability.
How do
Right.
you present to your team that this is a part of life, not just working for me,
Right.
but this has real implications for you as an individual?
Yeah. Uh, Henry Ford said that if I gave the people what they wanted, I would have built a faster horse. Like, people don't know what they want.
It's
Like, I
true.
Mm,
think
That's
what
very
people
true.
really want and what they really need is to solve interesting problems with skill sets that match theirs.
Yeah.
mm.
And so we do a lot in leadership development. We've been pushed through these stages of business. It went from me being a solopreneur to being able to delegate work. And that's where a lot of people stop right there is like, the type of person that it takes to become a solopreneur is the exact opposite of the type of person it takes to be
Yes.
kind of a leader of a group of people. So you have to learn to adapt to that. And so communication comes a big thing, getting your vision out there. Now we're in this stage where if we're going to grow, I need a leadership team. I've got 8 people on my leadership team.
Perfect.
that we're developing, I'm teaching them to be great leaders.
Mm.
And I'm starting to learn that you're not a great leader until you can teach other people to be great
Yes,
leaders.
sir. Say it
So
again,
He's
Brandon.
got the
yeah,
tools.
yeah, you got to teach people to lead, man.
That's it.
Um, and so we spend a lot of time talking about like in our leadership meetings, we spend a lot of time talking about like discomfort is the sign that we're growing. There is
Mm.
no growth without discomfort,
Yes.
and leadership is personal development.
That's
Like
right.
any way you look at it, this isn't management. I'm not talking about like managing tasks. We're talking about being a great, passionate, and compassionate leader.
Yes,
You need
sir.
to self-reflect. You need to grow as an individual, and it never changes. So it's getting them comfortable being uncomfortable.
Boy,
Yes.
you're
You know.
talking good, man. I mean, I love that crash course. That was incredible because our last episode,
Yep.
if you're watching, listening,
Hmm.
go back, check that out because we talk about the selves,
Yes.
right? Self-awareness
Yep.
and being able to take self-responsibility,
100.
self-care. Just like you said, it's not selfish. You
Right.
were talking about leadership.
That's right. And raising up leaders.
And
Right.
and we literally talk about self-leadership.
Yeah.
That's the one
Yeah.
thing that most people can't grasp. And you're teaching that to other people. Let me ask you this. Did you ever foresee yourself becoming the leader that you are today? Are you shocked when you see yourself and your company?
Oh man, I had no idea that this would have been, this would have been it. Once again, this is just another area we got pushed into. It was
Mm,
like, man, we're at this stage. We got to an area where I had like maybe 8 people here, and then I'm starting to get complaints like, oh, so and so didn't tell me this, and so and so didn't tell me that, and I'm like, all right, I need to start like communicating better, and we need to start getting people to talk to each other better.
Right.
And
Right.
then now we're a team of 35 people, and so like we have departments, and like I'm like, man, if we're gonna get to the next level, I need my leaders to get out of the weeds, and they need to start managing projects from the top down, and
mm,
Yes. Yeah.
imparting my vision to, I can't touch every employee all the time.
yeah.
Like I
You're
can't
right.
always be
That's
getting
right.
my vision in front of everybody. So I need to rely on other people to be able to do that. And I
Right.
gotta tell you, like that's the most fulfilling part of the whole job. I didn't know how hard it would be, but also the big bad wolf can come and blow the house down tomorrow. And I know that I've got a handful of people in here that are better off today than they were when they started here.
Come
And
on.
Wow.
Good
that's worth it.
job, Brad.
The fact that you even care about that as a leader is
Absolutely. Of
huge.
course.
Having a core 8, them growing to 35, being able to delegate, being able to raise them up with good core leadership,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who wouldn't want to work for that? That's huge. And has that
It's,
always been a part of you, that gift of leadership, that responsibility of leadership?
um, I think it comes natural to me. I was just talking to, I've got a business coach, which has been such a great
Of
addition.
course. Right.
And I read a ton and listen to podcasts, and like, just
Like
education is
Aspire
super
Hard with
important.
Charles and Yvana Bailey?
Aspire Hard.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm listening. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And so it's been ingrained. I was just talking to my business coach before this podcast actually about how like I don't have like this set, like these are the core pillars of great leadership. And
Right.
if you
Right.
do step 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can be a great leader. I just kind of do it,
Yeah.
but I need to start being a little bit more intentional about at least get it out on paper because some people resonate better with the directions, the
True.
kind of the
True.
That's
checklist.
true.
And
That's very true.
so yeah, I think it's just kind of natural in me. I do love it. I'm passionate about being passionate, so
Okay.
like
Yes. Yes.
it's
Yes.
easy for me.
I love
That's
that.
cool. Well, you said something earlier that I wanted to make sure that I tagged on because you were talking about management and leadership.
Yes.
And that's something that I also think is very important for listeners, even again, as we're talking about introspectively our own differences
Yeah.
between management and leadership.
Right.
You said, I want my people to manage projects.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a leader who manages people. That's not a leader, that's a manager.
Right. Right.
But a leader who loves people
Yeah.
can actually lead people to better management.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that because you made the distinction and it was very natural for you to say that. So that means that somewhere along the line, you had that understanding. Can I ask you, what was it, if you can find inside of you, that gave you that distinction, that helped you see the difference between
Yeah.
managing people
Right.
versus projects,
Right.
leading
Yeah.
people versus projects?
Yeah, non-living things, processes, numbers, the money in your bank account,
Mm.
Right.
your strategies and tactics. Those are things that can be
Yes,
managed.
Yes.
sir.
Those are detailed.
Yes.
There's it's closer to right and wrong ways. There's a
Hmm.
right and wrong answer to things. People need growth
Come
and
on.
opportunity
Hmm.
and you know the the ability to lead themselves and grow
Mm.
Right.
into their full potential, and
Yes,
that
sir.
people need leadership. And
Yes.
if you can get people to take on leadership, which is very, very uncomfortable,
Oh,
trying to
yes.
get
Yes.
people to become leaders makes
Right.
them very uncomfortable,
Right.
stirs up a lot of stuff every
It
Yes,
time
it
does.
we
It
go
does.
through
does.
leadership trainings, man. You it stirs up a lot, but they'll appreciate it in the long run.
Yeah.
They'll be able to manage projects and the tasks better. So projects and tasks get managed, people get led. I would never want to be managed. Like,
Mm.
so then as a leader, it's also kind of a good out, because like if you have a project that's like falling apart,
Right.
Yes.
you can talk to your group of people about the project and about the management that needs to happen on the project without there being any kind of like emotional tie to it. It's just
Yes.
Right.
like, hey, man, it's falling
Yes.
apart because of this, this, and this.
Hmm.
And then, how do you think we fix that? Um,
It's phenomenal.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's a great answer.
Absolutely. And everything he's talking about still involves communication,
Yes.
effective communication, leading from the top down, and
Yes.
then being able to reach the people at the bottom and still elevate them on platforms of leadership. All these things together still it's beautiful because you said before you talked about communication and
Mm.
how important that is. And then when there's needs to be a pivot, you were able to pivot and bring the team with you on that pivot.
Yes.
It's able to be respected very easily. And I love how you're running your company because
Sure.
it's simple. It's simple because you're uncomfortably doing it. And I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and you're putting yourself in those positions to be
Yes.
challenged as well.
Right.
Typically, when you speak with a leader, or I should, again, for the better sake of this conversation, with someone who's in a leadership position, because
Right.
just because a person's in that position doesn't
Right.
mean that they're
Doesn't
a
mean they're a
leader.
leader. Right.
But in typical cases,
Yeah.
it's about that person,
Yeah.
right? The people that you are serving is
Hmm.
not your focus.
Right.
Everything I've heard from you sounds like you're really into serving people.
Yeah.
Is that at the core of what you're doing? And is that what you're communicating to your team?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I've got my core values. I got them here on my phone, and I teach my people to do that too. Like literally sit down and figure out your core values. Mine's growth, balance, and leadership. Those in,
There
in
you go.
order. I'm pushing myself to be better.
Right.
I'm very vulnerable about that. I
Mm.
show my people that. I think that's great leadership, is to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
I try and balance all of that growth and ambition, and with family and
Yes.
friends and financials and business and all that,
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
and like like I said, I want to know that I've in the long run helped other people. I mean, what else are we here for, man,
Come
but to
on,
help other
bro.
That's
people?
That's
purpose right
exactly
there.
right.
That's
That's
all purpose.
exactly right.
Hmm.
How do you find, or how do you feel about, well, I guess you have a question too, because I
No,
can
no,
see.
go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead.
so how do
Hmm.
you find and how do you feel that you are serving that purpose? I'm going to use
Right.
that word for this because that really tells that maybe it's just you passing that on to your employees,
Hmm.
but there is a sense that there's a greater purpose
Behind
behind
what you're
why
doing.
you're doing
That's
what
right.
you're doing.
Right.
How did you find that? And again, how do you feel that purpose really, or what do you feel that purpose really is?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, organizationally, I think the purpose is to develop people to be better versions of who they were yesterday. Just
Mm.
a 1% better every day. We're always trying to get better. Um, from our management of projects and tasks to our self-reflection and personal growths, I think there's no separation between work and personal life. I think you kind of are, it's all part,
It is.
all
It's a
part of
part
Right.
of
who
who
Right.
you
you
are. I
are.
get
Absolutely.
that.
Right. Right.
Um, I treat my kids the same way. I want them to be fulfilled, not
Yes.
just
Yes.
happy, fulfilled.
Right.
I want them to
Mm.
work hard. I want them to struggle. I want them to embrace that struggle and
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
face the challenges head on. Like, man, if everything was easy all the time, it would be awful.
Yeah, I think
Like,
so.
Mm.
And I think people
you know,
wouldn't
That's a
even do what
perspective
they
right
say they
there.
would do.
Come on. That's huge
yeah,
perspective.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's just driven in me, and I think it's just inherent in who I am and in my
Right.
values. And so, like, it's the place I want to be at. So,
Right.
if you're the type of person that wants to be at that place, then you're the type of employee that we're looking for, you
Mm.
know? So,
Like-minded.
Yeah, that's right. That's incredible.
Beautiful.
Well, I guess the question I want to ask that really has led this conversation anyway, and it's overarching. It's not just purpose, but you also
Yeah.
said fulfillment.
Right.
So, do you, as a leader, have, maybe not yet, but I'm asking out of curiosity, things that you intentionally do that you can give to someone like us or someone that's watching or listening to say, well, how do I instill or infuse my core values into my work? How do I instill my purpose? How do I maximize my potential if I have a role or function
To fulfill. Yeah.
to fulfill in
Great
this
question.
job?
Great question.
yeah. This is a constantly changing, evolving role for me. I didn't go to school to be a CEO, you know?
Yes.
And I do things like we have like my business coach. I have him coaching my leadership team also. So he's
Okay.
Perfect.
excellent at this.
Perfect.
He's very good. Shout out to Mikey. Um, I we do things like, you know, of course we're a sunglass brand,
Yes.
and I believe that spending time outdoors leads to a more fulfilling life.
Mm.
Absolutely. See that?
So we pay for our staff to take half-hour walks every day. You know,
Wow.
I encourage them. In fact, we do
Wow.
lead these run clubs where we give prizes. We gave away a pair of shoes to the most consistent runner, walker. It doesn't matter. Get
Sure.
outside for a half hour and do something. Um, we have a Facebook community group called Fuse Squad that's kind of like invite only for our Facebook fans. And we kind of have that same mission of getting outdoors, being active.
Right.
Um, we do things like 360 reviews where every quarter we send out an anonymous review
That's
to
so
all
awesome.
employees to review the
That's
managers,
right.
their managers, and
Beautiful.
then other departments. What do they think about the
Mm.
other departments? Where could they improve? What do they think is great about them? So we kind of
Wow.
get a sense of like, you know, maybe the lab doesn't know what's going on in marketing well enough, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
so that gives autonomy and a voice to people. And then we do quarterly reviews, but if there's an issue, man, hop on it right away. Like
For
Immediately.
let's
sure.
That's
That's
get to
right.
the
right. That's
root.
right.
Yeah, let's get to the root. You know, there should be no surprises. You know, like
Correct.
we are in constant communication with staff. So bigger groups, bigger teams have daily 2 minute meetings where like expectations are communicated,
Right.
and there's a lot of collaborative talk there. It's just important in everything we do. Like communication is leadership. It's pretty much the same word to me.
That's
It's a
right.
Absolutely.
That's
synonym.
right.
So lots and lots of communication.
Can we clone him and make him? We're just gonna clone you and put you everywhere.
That's so funny. He's
To
like,
lead
no. He
people.
said, I would still be tired. He's like,
I didn't think about that part.
he's like, even if it's another me, I'll still be tired. I've been just doing more. You see how passionate he is. He's passionate about passion
Yeah.
about passion.
True. True. True.
That's all. That's
I
all funny.
love the fact that you do that for your employees. You give them space. You
Yeah.
give them opportunity for community outside of work. You give them the opportunity to be one with just being outside,
Sure.
being in the natural environment
Yeah.
to get refueled.
And
You know, that's
energized. That's right.
huge.
And active.
And pay for it.
Well, yeah, and I love what he said. I mean, that goes to, again, having a greater purpose. I think
Right.
if you're watching and you're listening, that's something that you can take away as well. And that was why I raised that question. You have to see what you do
Right.
as a means to accomplish a greater vision and purpose.
Absolutely.
His brand right now, even if you weren't aware of it, it could be a subliminal takeaway, is pushing people to think about the outdoors,
Right,
to be
right, right.
physically fit, to take care of their temples, to
Right.
think about themselves
Right.
as a whole being, not just what they do behind a desk or for
Right.
their job or in their position or their title. And you have to say the same thing about yourself. You have to ask yourself, what can I fulfill in this seat? What does this seat actually mean? Not just to the company, but to me, to my family, to my community.
Right.
Once you start to grab hold of those things, then you can connect those. Then it's less about the task, as he
Right.
said, which are managed,
Right.
and it becomes more about the people because the people are your purpose.
That's
You
right.
can find that you're making an impact. Some of us don't even know that we're making an impact on other people's lives through our job.
True. Very
We
true.
undervalue the work that we're doing. We're undervaluing the effort that we're giving. We want our boss to praise us, which
Yep.
is good
True,
that you do
yeah,
that.
for sure.
But we don't praise ourselves enough to recognize that what we're doing has an
No,
impact.
that's right. That's right.
A social impact.
That's right.
It is challenging mindsets.
Yeah.
For every one person that wears your shades, like myself, I can't wait to go outside with them on my face.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't
He's
even.
always looking for
I mean, the honest truth. This is not me
Seriously.
just saying that. This is for real, for real. So you're impacting my life because that's the first thing I'm grabbing. I rather go out, meet this woman and I. We're running. We're on the beach, whatever it takes. Just enjoying our life. But I gotta have my fuse.
Lenses. Yep.
But I'm out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
But I'm out there.
Right.
Do you see? So
On
that's just
purpose,
but that's
yeah.
just cool because again, that goes to how we don't even recognize that sometimes what we're doing has a greater impact than we even give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. And if we polled how many people, how many lives he's already impacted
Absolutely.
with just that ability to have community,
That's right.
to discover new things, to be able to be a part of the run club, and
Absolutely.
have a little board that everybody is invested in. It's
Yep.
like, yeah, that's what leadership should look like.
Absolutely. And you
then
look cool.
better worker. They're going to be better workers. Like it just
Absolutely.
makes sense. It makes sense. He's providing them an opportunity to grow into more of what they may not know about themselves,
And
but
that's
also
very
grow
true
part
as
of
well.
community.
That's very true as well.
Yeah.
And there's a question I want to ask about leadership in regards to employees, right? So we already know good employees are hard to find. But a lot of people, and it's kind of like that whole quote when you look at Microsoft, I think it was Microsoft, Bill Gates, but if it wasn't Bill Gates, it was Apple. What am I trying to say, Apple? He passed away. What was the CEO's name? I can't believe I just forgot his name. What's his name?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. I mean, easiest name in the world to remember, but my mind was
Real
focused
quick.
on what I'm trying
It's
to
okay.
say.
Go ahead.
But clearly speaking, everything you've spoken about is making them better.
Yeah.
So you're trying to position them. Do you ever feel, be as transparent as you like to, that you want to cap a person in their position, or is your intent to always see them grow, even if it means growing out of your company?
Oh, for sure. We actually talk about that openly. We're a small business,
Right.
and I've got people doing work here that they should be getting paid more to do.
Mm.
You know, like we just can't afford to pay as much as a bigger corporation can in
Right.
certain roles. And my goal is to always have not just the person developing in that position move out and move on. I hope nobody ever leaves.
Right.
Of course that happens. But I would be proud for somebody to move on and take on a role that was better for them. I always have somebody else lined up behind them. There's always
Yeah.
this hierarchy of
Right.
people being developed, and that's why it's important to train. That's why it's
right.
important for leaders to train leaders.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's right.
Do you challenge your
So,
leaders
yeah.
with that thought? Because a lot of people in today's economy, and you have a job, and they're thinking this could be gone at any moment.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
they're more afraid to train the people behind them for fear of being replaced. So
Oh no, yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, because we're still small and we're still growing, there's just like all of this opportunity. We're not at like
Yeah,
C-suite level
right.
yet. So I think it's important. We've been working on development plans for every employee here, including our leadership team. So there's a clear path forward for everybody.
Right.
And I think most people here know by now that like developing people under them is going to only help their position.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I've never let go of somebody because they've been too good at training people below. I don't know if that ever happens. I don't know if that ever happens, but
Good.
we have had issues with people being protective of their positions, but just honest communication with them about that can really open that up. And that's just kind of been bred into them through society or through their past experiences or maybe their parents. You're told not to do a lot of stuff when you're a younger kid. I'm guilty of doing that with my kids. You get praised a lot more for making mistakes here than you might at other companies.
Wow.
'Cause,
Yeah, that's good, man.
we want growth.
I was
we
just
want
going to say
change.
room for growth. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you make it a conducive environment for growth by making mistakes
Yep.
together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
and
beautiful.
allowances for that because
Absolutely.
it's like this. If you're taking a risk for the betterment of what we're doing, then I can believe that you're actually into what we're doing.
Right,
at
you're
all.
invested into what we're
Because
doing.
you're
Right.
invested, and it's a personal investment which says, I think it would work if we try X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Now, the unfortunate part of a lot of, not just mention C-suite, but some people don't make room for that.
Yeah.
That's what makes you different. you're creating space,
Right,
and that's showing up in your product.
Right.
I always like to think about that. Products are just an extension of the people that are producing them.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
Because if you have a great product but terrible people, that product won't be in the market for long.
Come on.
If you have great people and you have a terrible product, guess what? The products get better.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're experimenting, we're trying new
Yes,
things.
yes.
And I think there's a lot to be said for your leadership and your style of leadership.
Right.
Do you feel like your team recognizes that and are able to internalize that and appreciate it for what it is?
I mean, according to the 360 reviews, they do.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. You know, I've got a good example of a guy that's back here working in the lab. He's cutting lenses for me, you know, and that's the entry level position. You know, we hire kids off the street, they start cutting lenses. He was a helicopter mechanic in the military.
Interesting.
And back in the day, I was learning how to fly airplanes. So I was at an air park that was looking for helicopter mechanics. They had a couple positions open for helicopter mechanics. So I went back to him and was like, hey, man, I don't want to see you go. Like, you're awesome here, but you make a lot more money being a helicopter mechanic, and that's what you did in the military. You know, they're hiring over there. He's like, yeah, but civilian mechanics are different than military mechanics that have to go to school. I'm like, I'll pay for it.
Wow.
I'll pay for your school. You know, I'd rather see you move into an area that you would want to be in.
Wow.
And he's like, no, he's like, I really like it here, man. I feel like I'm part of something bigger here.
Interesting.
And he's our assistant lab manager now. He's
That's
in
so
management
cool,
now.
man.
He worked his way up. So I get all choked up and teary-eyed when I talk about that.
That's
but
that's
No, that's
beautiful,
purpose,
man. And
man. That's
that
beautiful.
meant so much to me to hear it because it's refreshing.
It is. It is. You don't see that a lot.
No, and to hear the leader of a corporation, no matter what size it is,
Yeah.
you're respective of the person's future.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's something that we can really take away from
Yeah,
this.
for
Whether you're a person who's already in leadership
Mm-hmm.
or someone who's positioning for leadership, if you keep in mind the people that you're meant to serve,
Yeah.
because you're not, I always say this because people get it confused. When someone gives you a higher title, they're not giving you an elevation over people.
Right.
They're just giving you more responsibility. In fact, the
Right.
better way to see it is more influence.
Right.
It's just a way to say, I trust you
Yeah.
with these people.
Yeah.
And I believe these people will grow to trust you. So I'm giving you this position because I believe you can have the vision for it.
Yeah.
So I say that with respect because a lot of times we miss that. But I love, going back to another point, that he was thinking forthrightly, like, I would
was.
rather
Right,
pay
right. Whew.
to have this young man
That's deep.
move on into something that he could do. But watch this. He was so, I think the man was so, what's his name? If you mind?
Eric.
I think Eric was
Yeah,
so
Eric.
touched by that it just meant even more to him
Absolutely,
that
to
I'm in
commit.
the right place.
Yes.
Even if it's just for this season, but I'm in the right place for me.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I'm saying that as a stressor to you, if you're watching or listening and you are a C-suite leader or you're running a small business, see to it that your intentions, your purpose for your business
Yeah.
is to make lives better.
Come on.
And know that if they've been sent to you, that's your role, function, and that's your ultimate job.
Yeah.
Because the products and the sales and the numbers, they'll take care of themselves if you're taking care of people.
That's right.
Now, you may be somebody who's on the other end of that and you don't feel taken care of. What I would challenge you to do is to assess whether you're not feeling taken care of or whether you're not actually respecting how well you're being taken care of. Because some of the things that
Respecting.
we face in our
Yeah.
positions
Yeah.
is that, one, we don't assess well.
Right. Right.
Two,
See the whole
we're
picture.
not speaking up. We write in our book that there are some people who are burnt out. You feel like you're stretched out, stressed out. You feel like you're not being treated the way you should be treated
Right, right.
when it's really not true.
Right.
You could have gotten help if you said, I need help.
Right.
But because of your pride, you were saying, I got it. I could do it all by myself, thinking you were making a better name for yourself, when actually you were just putting more pressure on yourself to perform at a level you didn't have to.
Correct.
So I'm saying that because through this conversation with Brandon, those are the things that I'm really pulling out from what he's saying. And I'm challenging you to say that may be something you need to challenge yourself on to see if you are in an environment that is really supportive, but you just haven't taken advantage of the support.
That's right. That's right.
Now, if you're not on either one of those and they really aren't, then you have to make a different decision because you may not be in the right place.
True. No, it's well said. Well said.
Very cool. Well, Brandon, before you go, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you and having you.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to share? It doesn't matter what the thought is, something you may want to leave with the audience. and other things we'll ask you. So just what's one thought you may want to leave the audience with?
I'd say if you're starting a business, just get comfortable pivoting, get comfortable making
Right.
changes. You're right. I never had the idea that like I wasn't gonna see this through to the end. I mean, there is no end. I'm
Mm,
not getting off the ride. I'm just figuring out how to keep it going.
That's
that's
right.
So,
it.
Momentum.
yeah.
Focus forward. So
Yes.
where can they
That's
find
right.
more information on Fuse lenses? I'm giving them a big hint.
Yeah. We're Fuse Lenses on all socials. You're probably gonna see my face pop up. I'm in a bunch of our ads.
Good.
Yeah, man, I
Um,
see you looking good, man, out
Yes.
there.
yeah. And fuselenses.com. We're actually running a huge sale right now. It ends on Friday. So what is that? I'm not sure when this is gonna air,
No
but
worries.
and yeah, fuselenses.com. We got you covered. If you don't see your frame model
Right.
already listed on our site, you can send your frame in to us. We'll custom cut lenses, and we also make our own frames. So we're just trying to get our lenses in front of your face so you can get outside and lead a more fulfilling life,
There
That's
man.
you
it. That's
go.
it.
Well,
Fulfillment
for
giveaway,
you,
right?
that's what I was
Yeah,
getting ready to
we
say.
have a
For those of you
giveaway.
who are watching and listening, we always
Yes.
love it when you make it to the end of our show. But for this segment, we have an incredible giveaway for you. If you go to fuselenses.com and enter code ASPIRE higher, it is literally our name,
Mm-hmm.
ASPIRE, higher, HIGHER, you will get an incredible discount. I
Yes.
won't tell you how much. I'm just going to say it's going to be worth you putting that code in
Heck yeah.
because
Where's my
this
glasses?
is specifically for our viewers and our listeners. So thank you once again for watching.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to Fuse Lenses on
Woohoo!
all socials and also their website.
Fuse.
Thank you for sharing time with us, Brandon. You are an incredible leader, and we are proud of what you're doing. We love you and the
100%. Thank
team,
you.
of course, because
Yeah.
we've gotten to know some of your team members over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
we're appreciative, and we hope that your business continues to grow and thrive, and that you continue to grow as you pivot. Thank you, guys. If you're interested more on who we are, Coach Charles and Yvana, you know where to find us. You'll see our links right here, aspirehigherlife.com. If you're needing motivational speakers, if you need encouragement to yourself and for yourself, we do one-to-one coaching as well. And we have a free workbook, 5-day championship confidence guide that you can download right now. Tell you what, go get it while it's free. But of course, if you want to do the next thing, you can do an experience with a community group. We're here to help you in whatever way that we can. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time,
Thank you.
we'll see you later.